Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on our bathroom. We're adding this on to the back of our house and we have everything done up to the insulation. So today we're going to be hanging the drywall onto the walls and the ceilings. So we'll be showing you guys how to do that. If you're interested in seeing the process of getting to this point, we've already posted 6 videos on how to build this bathroom this far. So you guys can go check those out if you're interested in that. I'll leave the link down in the description of this video. Also, you can check out the link at the end of this video. When you watch all the way through, you'll see that there as well. So I'll jump right into starting on hanging the sheetrock, and I'll explain a little bit how to do this and what you're looking for in this process. Alright, so here's the tools you'll need. You'll need a drill and a box of screws, the size that you need for the sheetrock. These are 1.25 inches. I also have a sheetrock saw. This is really helpful for small sections like the electrical boxes and around a window or something small like that. For larger cuts, you'll definitely want to use a utility knife. Now, I'll show you guys how to cut with that in a little bit, but then you'll need a tape measure to fill the space correct size, as well as a chalk line to make sure you're marking and cutting a straight line. Alright guys, now when you're screwing the sheetrock to the wall or the ceiling, you want to make sure that you do not break the screw through the surface of the paper. If you do that, the screw will not hold at all anymore and it'll just mess up. So what you need to do, if you have a Phillips bit, just a plain Phillips bit, instead of going all the way through this sheetrock, as soon as it gets close, that one's actually almost perfect right there. As soon as it gets close, you'll want to slow down and just slowly turn it until it's just below the surface. Now it's just below the surface. This will hold, and I'll be able to fill that screw in with spackle and you will not see it. What happens when it breaks the paper? Say it only goes through about 1/8 of an inch or a little bit less. That is already too far. It broke through the paper and it's not going to support its weight. So if I come on here and try to pry up on this, it already broke through. What they've done is they've made these bits that are specifically for drywall, and this bottoms out the screw before it goes through the paper. If you use this other bit, you can go as fast as the drill will let you, and it bottoms out, stops it before it goes through the paper. Even adds a little dimple around the screw where that can fill in with sheetrock as well, and make sure that you're not going to leave the screw too far out and you won't be able to spackle over it. So there you go. It's super quick. This saves a ton of time and you don't have to keep fixing screws. Now, even with just one, I'll show you guys, if I try to pry up on this, it holds a ton better. That was so much stronger than if it breaks through the paper. So as you're screwing this to the wall or the ceiling, especially the ceiling, make sure you do not break through the paper or else the ceiling could end up coming down on top of you. Now we're going to start hanging the sheetrock on the ceiling, and to do this we're going to be using 1/2 inch sheetrock. This is a little bit lighter grade than what we're going to be using 3/4 on the walls, and this is because we're going to be hanging beadboard over top of the sheetrock once we're done later on in the project, but for now we're just going to be using this 1/2 inch so it doesn't take up as much space. We're also going to be using 1.25 inch screws to fasten this to the ceiling. Now what you'll want to do is fasten a screw every 6 to 8 inches. The sheetrock on the ceiling has a lot more pressure from its own weight to pull down away from the ceiling, so you don't want to put this far apart at all. So make sure you put enough screws on that. The walls are a little bit different. You can go every foot to every 1.5 feet apart with the screws, but you really want to secure that ceiling more than anything else. Now there's a benefit to adding the sheetrock to the ceiling before you do the walls, and that's because once the sheetrock's up on the ceiling, you put the sheetrock around the walls, and that will actually be butted right up against the ceiling and supporting the weight of that sheetrock. Now I need to cut the hole out for the electrical box on the ceiling, and this is a round box. It's a lot harder to cut round curves with the knife, so I'll use the sheetrock saw, and that makes it a whole lot easier. Now we'll move over to the other side of the bathroom where there is a flat ceiling. We're gonna add the 1/2-inch sheetrock there as well. So I'll fasten that up and then we'll start on the walls. Now in a smaller room like this where a full sheet of sheetrock will not fit in here very well and still have room to work, I'll cut the general size outside, bring it in, and then I'll cut out things like the electrical boxes, the vents, smaller things like that when it's closer to the wall, because it's really easy to mix measurements up and flip things around. So while it's right here, I can make sure I'm cutting out the right spot, and it's a lot easier to just line up and cut it out. Now again, for these two smaller parts, it's really nice to have for the electrical box and the vent down on the floor to have that sheetrock saw available. I use a combination of the knife and the saw together, but it works really well to have that. Now in just a second, I'll show you guys how to cut the sheetrock with a utility knife. For those larger cuts, it's really easy. Some people use a straight edge, like a T-square you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's in the sheetrock section, and you can cut a perfectly straight line. I prefer to just chalk a line and I'll cut it freehand. It gets really close, and that's close enough with sheetrock. You don't have to get it perfect. So what I'll do is I'll score one side and cut about 1/8 of an inch into the sheetrock. That's good enough to then break it. And once you break it, it leaves just the paper on the back side. So what you do then is you just take your knife and cut through the back side, and it cuts it off completely. Alright, that finishes up most of the regular drywall we're hanging. Now we're going to move towards the shower section, and for this we're going to be using this green board or water board, and this is a little bit more waterproof or water resistant. Problem with regular sheetrock is it just falls apart, disintegrates once it gets wet. So this stuff will actually hold up a lot better behind the shower. If it ever does get wet, this isn't going to go anywhere. It's going to be a lot stronger. Now to cut this, it's basically the same as regular drywall or sheetrock. You just use a utility knife and score it, break it, and then cut the back side. It's a little bit more dense and maybe harder than regular sheetrock, but you still can cut it just fine with the utility knife. Now if you watched the previous video of installing this insulation, you'll know that I marked the insulation where the pipe was going through the wall, and that is because I didn't want to put any screws through. So I'll be paying attention to that, making sure that we don't go past that safe zone, and we'll stay away from those pipes. Alright guys, that just about finishes up the video for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this one or liked it. If you did, hit that like button down below. But really, sheetrock can be a DIY project. It can be a little confusing at times, but if you follow these steps, you can do it, and you can save a lot of money doing it yourself. Go ahead and check out these other videos I have on this bathroom project as we're building it along. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Thanks guys, I'll see you in the next one.